Well, it has been an eventful couple of days. Welcome to the Daily Smash for Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. I'm Rick.
I'm Kelly.
We wanted to give you the full story of what happened between Heather McDonald and Megan Weaver at our home, in part because when we recorded Monday's show, it was before we knew that Heather had gone public with the beef.
Right. Well, I know because Jeff called me and he said she put it on Patreon. You're
that was after our show. We were notified after because once you got the call, I was thinking to myself, maybe we should redo the show now that we know that she went public with the feud. But we
weren't going to talk about this.
We weren't.
I wasn't going to talk about this. I didn't want to get in the middle of this.
We considered it a private matter.
I considered it private, and I didn't want it out there.
Okay.
But Jeff called me and told me she put it on Patreon. I just didn't listen to the Patreon. We listened to it later that evening.
I had no idea that she did it until after we did our show. But I do want to, for those of you who don't know who these people are, this is Heather's Instagram page. She is a comedian. She has her own podcast, the Juicy Scoop Podcast. She has 324,000 followers. Megan Weaver, her Instagram is Megan Catalina. She is Jeff Lewis's sidekick on Jeff Lewis Live on SiriusXM. She is also a designer, and she's on the Hollywood House Lift show. She has 69.9 thousand followers. Tell everyone how you know Megan and Heather.
I met Heather through Shannon Bedore. She introduced me to her, and when I met Heather, I met Jeff Lewis that same day, 8 years ago
at an event.
She contacted me. She wanted to interview me.
Oh, okay.
And so I met Jeff Lewis and Heather McDonald at this place called Wandery. It was a podcast. And so I know who Heather McDonald is. She was on the Chelsea Handler show. She's a very, very successful, very funny
comedian.
A comedian. I gravitated towards her because we're both Catholic. We have kids similar age. She went to USC. She's friends with a lot of my friends that went to USC. Same with Jeff Lewis.
Megan, where did you meet Megan Catalina?
And like Jeff Lewis went to
Megan Weaver.
I met Megan Weaver. I met through Jeff Lewis.
Okay.
So I have a lot in common with Jeff Lewis. Jeff Lewis went to Mater Dei, where the Catholic high school that Julie went to. Megan Catalina is also Catholic. So we have this kind of, like how Jewish people have their tribe.
Yeah.
Well, the Catholics have the tribe. So
okay.
you kind of like have a lot in common. You grew up kind of the same. You have the same kind of values, things like that.
Okay. A lot of you were upset that we didn't go into detail on Monday Smash about what happened, that we referenced something happening but didn't go into detail. You're like, why? You can't do that. You have to share that. We didn't share it because we considered it private, as we said.
But now we don't consider it private because Heather put it on Patreon, which is a paid wall.
It's behind a paywall, but she also posted on Instagram, I just put out an emergency Patreon, and you'll never guess who the bully is, which to me is a tease. It's a promo for her podcast. And she was encouraging people to go and listen to it. People everywhere. Go and listen to the show and check out who this bully is. And that bothered me.
They probably thought it was me.
Right. But I want to be clear that Kelly's not choosing sides here, and I'm not either. We're going to share our honest assessment of what happened, our position on what happened.
I'll tell you exactly, honestly, and truthfully, coming from my point of view, okay? I'm not calling anybody a liar. I'm not calling anybody any names. Because, like when people get divorced, they're like, there's her side, his side, and the truth. Well, I have my truth, and I have things that I don't agree with Megan, and I don't agree with Heather on certain things. So I'm not taking sides. I love them both. I respect both of them equally. And I'm just going to give you my version of events.
Do you want me to do a synopsis of what happened at our house? How do you want to handle the telling of the story?
I think I want to tell the story from the beginning of how everything happened.
Okay.
And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. This is just what was told to me and how I could see the progression of things spiraling out of control. So I went to an event, and the chumps were there, and Heather was kind of upset that she didn't get invited. And listen, I never get upset when I don't get invited to things. I'm not always invited to things, and I just don't get my feelings hurt. Well, Heather's very sensitive. I know she's a comedian and everything, but she is very sensitive. She gets her feelings hurt quite easy. And so when I went to this event, a lot of people said that Heather, they don't like Heather, that they think that she's dismissive, that she's a social climber, that she only likes people that are famous. And they told me this. Okay?
And that's what Megan told Heather Saturday night at our house. That she decided to confront her and tell her exactly how she felt about her.
Right.
And that was one of the things that she told her.
Okay. So there's a few people that said this to me. And I was like, wow, like I had no idea, because to me, Heather is a good mother, good wife. She's a great provider. She's smart. She's witty. She's funny. She's got a great heart. She's smart. Like I like her a lot. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of shocked by this, but then I was also like, well, maybe she has to be kind of a social climber because this is her job. Her job is to get the juicy scoop. Her job is to know and to befriend these people. That's what she is known for. I've never seen her for me, to be rude. I've never encountered that, but these people have.
Okay.
So I
think we need to get to the point.
Okay, so
here,
the point is, Megan has like she doesn't like her. Okay, she doesn't like her, and I never revealed that or spoke about it to Heather because I like them both. I like their company, and then
let me interject here. So we did go to our home in the desert for the weekend,
right?
And Heather came and stayed with us Friday night,
and Megan calls me because I told her that Heather was staying with me. And she said, is she staying with you the whole weekend? Because if that's the case, I will get a hotel and I won't stay with you.
We already had plans with Megan and her boyfriend Ben to come and stay Saturday, Sunday.
But Heather wanted to get out of be in beautiful weather. She wanted to see tennis and she wanted to be with her sister. But her sister had a guest and she was planning on staying with her Saturday. So I said, no. I go, Heather's going to her sister's on Saturday. She's only staying with me one night.
So Heather came. We had a great time Friday. We went out Friday during the day and Friday night. And then Saturday went for a nice walk.
We went shopping. I made breakfast. We had a great, great day.
And then Heather took off to go see her sister. And Megan and Ben came to the house. And Stu came as well,
right.
Chef Stu.
Right. So we get ready and we go to the tennis. Then all of a sudden we're at Nobu and Heather walks. I don't know. We ran into her, right?
Yeah, at Nobu at the tennis stadium. Heather and her sister show up, and so then we all started drinking together as a big group at tennis on Saturday.
We were having a great time. But Megan's like, "Oh God, how come she's here?" Right? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, well, just have fun. Who cares? It's just like whatever. So we
eventually we
have a great time. I thought we had a great time.
We did. We had a great time.
And
then we Ubered home.
We Ubered back to my house, our house.
We were back home and having a drink at home, and Heather and her sister Ubered to our house, and they show up.
But I didn't even know they were coming. I had no idea. I had no idea that they were coming to my house, which is fine. But they're always welcome. Of course, they're welcome to come. More the merrier to me. I love having a lot of people. It's fun for me.
Right.
So,
but Megan's a bit hammered at this point.
Megan's a bit hammered.
Wind up sitting outside by the fire pit, and Megan decides to tell Heather how she feels about her.
Right. So it was Ben, me, Heather, Heather's sister, Shannon, you, Stu, and we're sitting around my big, huge brown Jordan furniture
around
the fire pit.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I guess it was really bothering Megan. Megan came clean and started talking about how she didn't like her and why. And I felt very uncomfortable So I got up and I went inside because this wasn't my fight. I didn't want to hear it. I just didn't want to be a part of it.
And eventually I got up as well and went inside. And for anyone who says, well, why didn't you guys stop it? Why didn't you interject? They were having a conversation, two grown women,
50
woman
years
to woman,
old.
and they were emotional. Both of them were crying. And at one point, you heard her
So
sister.
then I wanted to see if everything was okay. So I walked outside and I see them both crying. I see Megan crying. I see Heather crying. And the sister, I was looking at the sister, and the sister was saying, Shannon was saying, this is great. This is very cathartic. You guys are now moving past it. So to me, I thought everything was going well.
Yeah.
So I went back inside the kitchen and I was making food like I always do. Chef Stu came with me. Then all of a sudden, because I was like, what, was everything okay going on okay? And he's like, yeah, I think everything's getting better. They're turning a new leaf, whatever. Then Heather comes in.
This is like 10 or 15 minutes later, at least. It got worse. Like Megan apparently was relentless.
I
just
didn't
hammering
hear it.
away at her.
She walks into my kitchen. Chef Stu and I are there, and you're right there too.
Yeah.
And
Heather's
she
sobbing.
starts crying. And when I say hysterically, she was crying hysterically, and I did not know what to do. I felt horribly for Heather. She went off saying, she was saying the worst and most vile things to me, that I'm a social climber, I'm dismissive. And she was like, and why are you going on this cruise? And why are you going with Asia? And blah, 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 blah. And I was like, and then she was talking about how she's talking about her kids. I felt sorry for her. Like, I felt sorry for Heather. And I'm like, oh my, and I said, well, she's also she says that you don't talk about her kids. So we all went to NASCAR, and
it was a while ago.
And we went to NASCAR with all our kids, my kid, her son, Brandon, Heather's son, Brandon, and Bo. And Megan's son. And so we were all talking, and I was talking to, it was me, Heather, and Megan, and Bo was right there. I was asking questions, what grade are you in? What kind of sport are you in? I was just asking questions. What, you have a girlfriend? Things like that. And Heather was just standing there, not listening, just whatever. And then Megan looks at me and she goes, do you see this? She didn't ask one question about my son. She didn't have any interest in talking about him. She didn't want to know about anything. And it really, really bothered her. And so Bo, they're leaving NASCAR, said to Megan, Mom, I really, really like Kelly a lot. She was a really nice lady. And
what's not to like?
And then said something about Heather kind of being dismissive to the son, whatever. So I said that to Heather. I go, well, she's also angry that you're dismissive with her son. And she goes, she never asked about my kids. Fair, right? That's totally fair, know? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Maybe she didn't, because her son was there. She wasn't asking questions about her son. So I was like, and then I go like, I'm so sorry. You don't have to leave. She's like, I'm out of here. And I felt bad. So I walk outside and Megan's crying. And I said to her, I go, this was awful. Like what just, no. And by the way, Chef Stu was sticking up for Heather.
Yeah.
He was like,
he was sympathetic.
She was mean. She was mean to Heather.
Mm-hmm.
And
he said she went too far.
She went too far. She needs to apologize. We were both saying this to
And to
Megan.
Megan's credit, Megan admitted that she went too far.
Mm-hmm.
And Megan, the next morning, we discussed it, and she said that she was going to apologize. She was waiting. She was like,
give me a minute.
Give me a minute.
Just give me a minute.
And she was planning to reach out to Heather and talk to her and apologize because she knew she had gone too far. Meanwhile, her phone is dead. And
I was texting Megan all day long, okay? And I tried to call Heather at noon because I have the receipts. Heather never called me back. I wanted to relay to Heather what we all said to Megan.
Yeah.
That wasn't right. She went too far, and it was really, really mean. Okay. And so did Chef Stu. I don't know why he's getting backlash, but he started crying to me today. So I just want to make that clear that he was Team Heather.
But can I want to say something here, though?
Right? He was.
But yes, he was. Megan does have a right to share her feelings. And I think Megan's getting a lot of criticism for being a bully because Heather called Megan a bully on her show. And that really bothered me because what Megan did may have been mean, but it was honest. She was honest with Heather about how she felt about her. And they are, again, are two grown women having a conversation. But when Heather left our house at 9 o'clock, she recorded a long audio podcast that she then posted at 5 o'clock the next day, giving her version of events, going public with this beef and rallying all of her fans against Megan. And to me, that is bully behavior. And I love Heather and Megan too. But when you do that, when you go after someone in a public forum, even if it's behind a paywall, you promote it on Instagram and then you post it on Patreon and you talk about this person and get all your fans to be on your side against that person, that's being a bully. What Megan did was not bully behavior. She wasn't rallying a bunch of people around. She wasn't bigger and stronger than Heather. She wasn't ganging up on her.
Being bullied.
She was just sharing her feelings about Heather in a heart-to-heart, and maybe it was harsh, but it was one-on-one. And yeah, there were people there, but they were all friends.
She had her sister there
to
back her up,
and Heather's,
to be the mediator.
Megan's boyfriend Ben was there, but he wasn't
didn't
ganging
say a word
up on her. So this was between Heather and Megan, and Heather made it a much bigger thing by going public, and that's what I had an issue with. And I'll tell Heather that to her face. Like this did not deserve to go on your Patreon. Nobody was going to talk about this. This is between you two, and Megan was planning to apologize.
Yes.
But because she didn't apologize by 5 o'clock, apparently that was Heather's deadline in her head, so she posted on Patreon, and then everyone started ganging up on Stu and Megan.
So we wanted to listen to, and I ended up texting with Heather, and I was kind of upset that she wasn't going to wait for I was trying to call her and tell her she was going to call you. Her phone was dead.
Yeah.
To apologize, which she totally was going to do. And she didn't like that she waited, it was at 5 o'clock and then that was her deadline to blast it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I listened to her podcast and I have some issues with it, to be quite honest. And I love them both. I want to continue a friendship with both of them. I'm going to St. Bart's with Heather in a couple of weeks.
But we're going, and then she's coming meeting us there.
Yes. So,
but that we're really looking forward to it, and that was totally Heather became friendly with your friend Asia, who invited us to St. Bart's and extended the invitation to Heather and her husband Peter, and they're going to come a few days after we get there, and that's great. And Megan gave her a hard time for that, which we don't agree with.
I don't agree with that.
That's not okay. Like it's she was invited on a trip, and she's coming, and it's awesome. So that was because Megan is already sensitive to Heather.
She thinks that she's a friend poacher, and Heather, to her credit, said to me, when we were at NASCAR, hey, Asia, your friend, invited me to go to St. Bart's. And she was like, but I only want to go if you're going. I don't want to go by ourselves. I don't want to be a friend poacher. She's like, she was very kind and courteous to my feelings. So to me, she wasn't acting like a friend, but Megan feels that Heather is. So
partially because of another boat trip that Heather talked about on her podcast. You want me to play the audio version of that?
Yes.
And then we'll talk about what you think is inaccurate about that.
So you remember how they always say like there's his side, her side, and the truth? I just said that. Well, there's not everything that someone says is the way It really, really is.
Often the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So this is a portion of Heather's show, the Juicy Scoop.
So Kelly Dodd goes, "Are you going on the Croatian yacht?" I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Oh, Megan and Patrick and Paul, we're all going on this like smaller person yacht or something through Croatia in 2024. It's very expensive. We've paid several installments, but you should go." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to go to Italy. You guys know I've tried to say I want to travel. And it looks like I'm probably not going to get it together to travel in June. And Peter doesn't want to go. And I really don't have anybody else to go with." So I was like, "Kelly, what is going on with this Croatia trip? Is there any spots? Because how easy would that be just for you to say, come to LAX this day, give me this big chunk of money, whatever, and it's all taken care of?" I would love that. And I love all you guys. How fun would that be? Kelly goes, "Right, Patrick and Paul." So yesterday I said, "Hey, I'm with Kelly Dodd. Hope you're well. Is any, what is going on with that Croatia trip? Are there any spots?" He goes, "As I know, it's been sold out for a while." And I go, "Okay, well, if anyone flakes, let me know." He's like, "I'm doing a shoot today." I'm like, "That's so great. Have a good time." So then Megan Weaver tells me, "It really bothers me that you went around me to try to get on this boat. These are my people. I organized this trip." And I go, "I did not know that. Kelly Dodd never made that clear to me. She actually told me to text Patrick, not you. If I knew that you were at the helm of organizing this, I would much rather have liked to have asked you, being that I know you much better than the Patrick and Paul." And she's like, "Well, I don't want you on the boat."
Okay, with all due respect, Heather, this is the text message.
Here's a receipt.
Between you and Kelly. And you have Heather in your phone as Heather McDonald's.
I know.
Like the restaurant. And Heather wrote, "That trip on the boat in Italy that you and Megan are going on, can you see if anyone has canceled? I'd love to go and can afford it. Thanks." You wrote,
"I don't know them. It's Megan's best friend. So text her, Patrick, or Paul. It's in Croatia. It's gorgeous. Okay, thanks."
"I don't know them. It's Megan's best friend. So text her." You did tell Heather to text Megan.
I did.
And
by the way, I didn't talk about the boat. I didn't talk about the boat to her. She knew about it already because we talk about it on the radio. So I never came to her and said, "Hey, I'm fine with her going. I just don't know these people. I don't know how the boat's filled." I wouldn't invite somebody to go on a boat trip that I know nothing about.
Right, we're friends of friends.
I'm friends of a friend.
It's not our party.
It's not my party. It's not my boat. I can't say, "Oh, are you going to go on that?" Because to my knowledge, it was already booked out already.
Yeah, well, it was, and then I guess some slots opened up.
So I couldn't possibly say that to her. She already knew about this. She wanted to go on the boat trip, which is totally cool. I felt bad for her because she said she's never been able to travel. She's always worked really, really hard. And I felt bad for her that she's never had traveled the world, and she's always been a mom and working her ass off. And now she's got money and, and I want to travel with her. I love hanging out with Heather. I really, really do.
But this was Megan's, like one of her best friends' trip. And Megan clearly doesn't like Heather and made that clear on Saturday night and didn't like Heather trying to insert herself into this particular
friend group
because she didn't want to travel on a boat with Heather. She wanted to travel on the boat with her friends, a separate friend group, and then we were going along for the ride because we've met them too and whatever. But she didn't want Heather there, so she got mad because Heather was trying to go. And that was one of the things that she called her out on the couch at our house.
But see, her version of what she said there is completely not true. And this is what I'm talking about. Like when you have like series of events that you think that happen, but are actually not true. And I'm not saying that she's a liar or anything like that. I don't think that she remembered me telling her. It's on text. The receipt's right there that I said, ask Megan. Not my boat, not my trip. I don't know anything about it.
So as you can see, like there was a lot of drama at the house. Kelly was actually joking about how if this were on the Real Housewives, it would have been the best episode ever because of all the
because it was raw and it was
raw
real and it was like real tears. And by the way, if you want to talk about bullying was me in Ireland when I had Tamara, Heather Dubrow, Vicky, and all of them ganging up on me.
Right.
That's bullying, okay?
Yeah. This was not a bullying situation at our house. And neither one of us would have put up with that. If people started ganging up on someone, we're not going to let that happen.
Was it mean?
At Pickleball Partytown? No.
Yeah.
It's a fun, happy place.
Right.
But this was a serious heart-to-heart between these two grown women. And
it turned south.
And it got bad. And both of us want to be friends with both of them. We don't want this to come between us. And we hope that Megan will say she's sorry to Heather and that Heather will accept her apology and maybe the two of them can work this out.
I hope so.
It's okay to have differences. Kelly, you're raw and real with people all the time. And you even said to me, if someone said to you what Megan said to Heather, you probably would have gone on the smash and did the same thing that Heather did.
Well, I kind of got a little upset with Heather because, Chef Stu and Megan were getting bullied from the fans.
Right.
Because they only heard her side. It's not fair to get your side and, sort of like they're getting the minions after me because I can handle it. I have thick skin. Doesn't bother me. They have a hard time. Like Chef Stu called me crying on the phone today.
Yeah.
And crying.
He didn't deserve to be called out. He was supporting Heather. He did feel that Megan went too far. And even Megan knows she went too far. But, Megan's a strong woman and she had strong feelings and she shared those feelings. And again, my thought on this is like, you want to have it out with somebody. I like being honest with people. I think you should be as real as possible with people. I mean, you should consider their feelings too, obviously, but I respect being honest because what are you going to do? Just live a lie? Are you just going to BS people all the time and pretend you like them when you don't? Or would you rather somebody be real with you and tell you the truth, how they feel about you, and then you can decide if you want to hang out with them or not? I mean, to me, there's no other way to live life except to live it honestly. And I thought that's what Megan was doing, so I appreciated and respected that. Do I think she went too far? Yeah, and Megan does too. So I want them to apologize. I want them to make up, kiss and make up, and let's get back to having a good time together.
Yeah, it's really sad,
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. It's like Jeff Lewis said on his radio show this morning. He's like, when I come to Newport, I can't hang out with Shannon and I can't hang out with Tamara. Well, those girls are mean girls. I know nobody thinks that, but they are. I try to have a conversation with Shannon and she freaking ghosted me and she's only friends with somebody that, you want to talk about a narcissist and who only benefits with somebody who can do stuff for her? That's Shannon Bedore. And Tamara, she will pander to get anything on that TV show to be back on. And she's not a true friend. She couldn't stand Shannon and Shannon couldn't stand her. And it's like I tried to be nice to those girls. I tried to be friendly with them, but they don't want to, and you can't force somebody if they don't want to be friends with you.
Well, this was a very different kind of a smash, but we did feel like we needed to put our side of the story out there since we were the hosts. It happened at our house. I do want to add a couple of other items.
We're going to write.
One of them is Carrie Commons, who wrote, "Please make my 50th birthday by saying happy birthday on tomorrow's podcast, March 21st. Happy birthday, Carrie Commons."
Happy birthday, Carrie. I'm 50 years old. I'm almost there. Woohoo.
And one more thing I want to share, because I thought this was a suitable end to this show, is the rainbow we saw on our way back from Palm Desert to Newport Beach today.
Oh, yeah.
And Kelly got a picture of it while I was driving.
That wasn't a good one. There was better.
If you have a better one, I'll put it in there. But this is one of the photos you got of the rainbow, which,
But are we going to read some comments? I have a whole bunch.
Yeah, but I
they're
think
pretty good.
I think we got the gist of it.
Well, I know, but I want to read some comments. I sent you I mean, I went through it to read them.
And I read some of them, a couple of them.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me read this.
All right, so here's one from Casey Pittman. Megan should have taken Heather aside to tell her how she felt. Doing it in front of everyone was cruel, or someone should have interjected when it got out of control. I feel bad for Heather. It sounded like Megan really went low. Love listening to you, Kelly and Rick. Well, as we said, they basically were. It was a private conversation. Megan's sister was there, and I'm sorry, Megan's boyfriend was there, and Heather's sister was there. So they weren't alone, but they were among family and friends, close ones. So, and if we knew how bad things were getting, we would have interjected. But we were in the house.
Well, here's another one from Pearl Bubbles. Megan and Chef Stew, parentheses, meathead, the way they treated Heather is almost unforgivable. No one stepped in and stopped it. Unbelievable. Alcohol is no excuse. Well, sometimes, the truth serum comes out,
What about this one from NH255? I love Bobby's potential weed line.
Bobby's buds.
We've gone over a half hour on this. I think we're good.
So, I want everybody to have peace and love and happiness, and I think we could all be friends. And I think Megan and Heather, if they got to know each other a little bit better, they would be great friends.
They certainly can be, and I hope that they will be. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't yet, and check out our show on patreon.com, The Rick and Kelly Show. We're going to talk about this and a bunch of other stuff that we can't really talk about on YouTube coming up this week on patreon.com.
All right, you guys have a smash-tastic day, and happy birthday, Carrie.
See you guys.
Bye.